An Indiana lawmaker is pushing for recreational marijuana for Hoosiers, and minimum wage for Kentuckians could get a boost.
WDRB's Monica Harkins and Chris Suter are tracking some of the changes being considered in our state legislatures.
As Kentucky begins its medical marijuana journey, one Indiana Republican lawmaker wants to skip medical marijuana altogether and go straight to recreational.
It would be the first state in the country to bypass a medical marijuana program. State Rep Heath Van Natter introduced the legislation. It would legalize marijuana for Hoosiers over the age of 21. Another Republican from South Bend told Fox 59 he thinks it would pass in the House, but the Senate could be the stalling point.
It is interesting, the new governor that just took office for Hoosiers, Mike Braun, he was saying before the election that he would be for medical marijuana, not necessarily recreational. It'll be interesting to see, though, if his mind has changed now that he's officially taken office. You know, sometimes when running for certain offices, you say certain things.
Right.
And that can change.
It can change. I think a lot of lawmakers are thinking that perhaps if you go recreational, it would open doors to some other things that they don't want to deal with. So we'll see what happens with that one. A Kentucky Democrat wants to bump up minimum wage to at least $15 an hour.
But with a supermajority Republican in Kentucky, it's unlikely to go anywhere. Right now in Kentucky, minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Democratic Senator Reggie Thomas of Lexington filed the bill and says no one can live off $7.25 an hour. Senate Bill 11 would raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, but in increments over time. Minimum wage is increasing in half the states in the country this year. If states don't want to increase the wage themselves, it is already federally set at $7.25, Chris, so this is the bare minimum for the country. I went ahead and looked at some of the other states that are our neighbors. Indiana and Tennessee also have $7.25. West Virginia, a little bit more at $8.75. Ohio, $10.70 for minimum wage. And then Illinois is by far the highest with $15 for its minimum wage.
Do you remember what you made at your first job with the minimum wage?
$7.25 over in Texas.
Oh, wow. See, that's pretty good. I was $5 even.
Ooh, rough.
I know.
And when gas prices get high, I mean, $5, 1 hour,
right,
that could be like a gallon of gas.
It's terrible. I was working at a radio station at the time, too.
Hard out there, guys.
Yep.
Well, housing or lack thereof is a big issue for Kentuckians. So what if a religious organization was allowed to develop places to live?
The bill would remove barriers and let religious organizations across the Commonwealth develop housing on their properties. The bill allows those groups to create that affordable housing in commercial and residential zones. State lawmakers say the bill was drafted after a recommendation from the Kentucky Housing Task Force. Obviously, you think about some homeless folks and what they're dealing with and where they can go to get help. This could probably really help them.
Oh, yeah, especially we know a lot of church organizations already help with that. It'll be curious to see if this goes through the legislature and ultimately gets passed. We know there's a lot of steps to finishing the finish line.
Absolutely. Those are some bills to watch this week.
To read more on those proposals, go to WDRB.com.